think I was MK Ultra'd for real. This is something that happened to me in 2009. I tend to forget about it for months or years at a time, but every so often, the memory comes floating back. This is only the second time I've ever written it out. Be me. Be in Minnesota suburb. Go to the mall one day. Sitting in the food court by myself. Guy comes up to me with a clipboard. Offers me $15 to take a survey. Why not? He leads me to an employees-only entrance. Inside is an office with a small reception area, and another room where I can see people at computer stations. Lady at the desk has me sign a stack of paperwork. Tons of fine print. Have to initial in different places. All of this seems rather elaborate for a $15 survey. I'm starting to feel unsettled, but also intrigued. They take me into the computer room. I have to take a survey about my demographics and consumer preferences. Pretty basic stuff. See pictures of fake products on shelves. Click onto products that appeal to me. Then it's time for part 2. This is where shit gets weird. Woman takes me down a hallway into a small room. There is literally nothing in the room but a chair, a large projector screen, and a table with a laptop in the corner. Woman stands at the laptop and turns out the lights. The room is now pitch black, except for a single white dot on the projector screen. I'm supposed to follow the dot with my eyes. Woman says to relax, breathe, and focus on her voice. I'm literally being hypnotized by a stranger in a shitty back office at the mall. Now a grid of 9 squares comes on the screen, each one numbered. She says to focus on the 9. Focus on the 9. Don't look at any other numbers. She repeats this process with each number in random order. At this point, my memory goes blank. I do remember seeing another CGI image of store shelves with various products, but I don't remember how long it took or what else I had to do. I believe I was calling out numbers also. Finally, the survey is over. I get my $15 and walk out wondering what the fuck just happened. Well, X, it's been over 10 years, but do I have anything to worry about? Years later, I told this story to a friend of mine. He did some research and found that a company named Heekin Research did quote-unquote market research in this mall. The website no longer appears to be active, but it's archived, and shows that they operated all over the United States. Here's the archived link. OP again. The link says that the Heekin/Quick Test only had one location in Minnesota at Maplewood Mall, but I'm 100% sure that this took place at Ridgedale Center in Minnetonka. I dug up the old chat logs with my friend where we discussed this. They were saved on another PC, and he had found a link showing that Heekin also did business at Ridgedale. The link doesn't work anymore, but here it is. That is as much proof as I can provide. This is the most CIA front-looking logo I have ever seen. Shroom stories. I was trapped in hell, and I deserved it. And yet, they wouldn't fucking talk to me. I could hear voices. They sounded just like fucking Rick from Rick and Morty. And yes, I know that's cringe, and yes, I wish I was making it up. But I'm not. That's what I heard in my head. It was like there were multiple, were both talking about me, talked about me. They talked through me, almost adjacent to me, but they refused to talk to me directly, so no direct engagement. In terms of cogent argument for an entity, I could connect with high off my ass on shrooms. What does that mean? To the people who hear voices on the regular, can you have a conversation with them? Or are they like random schizos on the street just babbling random words like bark, babadoo, candle? If so, that sounds inherently inconvenient. Yes, they are real. Ignore them. Nothing good will come from it. But I can't hear them. I only hear them when I take 8 grams of shrooms. Also, when I eat pot brownies. I don't hear anything on those, but it feels like I'm surrounded by worms or energy parasites that are wriggling around me, and it is fucking annoying. How do I get rid of that sensation? It usually kicks in after 3 edibles. My head hurts when I hit it with a hammer. What can I do to make my head not hurt? Surely there is some action or change of behavior that could solve my predicament. You don't have to be mean, but I get your point. Be me, 16, and addicted to WoW. It's late at night. Cat had just released, and I'm leveling a Goblin Warlock. Real bad snowstorm just hit my town. I live in Michigan, and the snowstorm was bad enough that they canceled school for the next week or so. Here's something to my left where my window is. Kind of like a soft electric crackle. I take off my headphones. Sound is still there. I turn on my lamp and try to get a peek out my window. Window is facing some woodland. There's no light out there, so I can't see what's making the sound. Definitely not my PC. Go AFK and wow. Grab my old bulky lantern flashlight, whatever the hell you call it. Fumble around for a bit, getting it to work. Shine it out of my window. Doesn't illuminate a thing. This is a really fucking bright flashlight. Bright enough to light up an entire room if you pointed it out the ceiling. Heart skips a few beats as the realization that something is in front of my window dawns on me. Immediately lock it. Crackling sound is getting louder. Hear a really loud fucking howl. Shitting bricks. Dive under my bed. Mom comes into my room to ask me what the fuck I'm doing that's making so much noise. She was looking at my desk. Realized that she sees something in my computer chair. That's not me. I shove an arm out from under my bed to wave to get her attention. See her fucking freeze when she realizes I'm under my bed. Slams the door shut. Yo, the mom just said you're on your own, what the fuck? I have no idea how long I was in this position, but eventually, my dad bursts into my room with his hunting rifle. Pauses. Window to my room is broken. WoW is playing itself, and according to him, he saw some kind of figure running into the woods through our backyard that my window was facing. Still no clue what happened that night. Confession time. Be me. Be 2020. COVID ward. 2 obnoxious fatties with COVID were abusive towards staff. Finally, we're too fucked up that we had to sedate them and intubate them. More and more COVID patients come in. Run out of HFNC machines. 2 non-fatty kids get admitted with COVID. Oxygen sat on both patients were dropping. Sabotage lab work for the ICU fatties to make them seem worse than they are. Convince other doctors that the fatties are beyond saving, but we still have a chance to save the kids. The fatties were transferred to the regular COVID ward, and the kids were sent to the ICU. Fatties die. Nurses are relieved they don't need to prone the ham beasts anymore. The kids fully recovered. I don't know if this is FPH material or not, but, well, holiday season 2020. Volunteer for COVID ward because I want hazard pay, and I'm not really at risk because not a fatty. Obese patient comes in with severe COVID. Literally 40 BMI. Look at chart. 4 years younger than me. Diabetes, hypertension. Too fat for regular IV in the arm, so has an IJ cath. IJ cath is similar to the IV that you usually see, but it's much larger because it has to go into the large blood vessels near the neck. Had to be intubated, so patient was sedated. Drip fed with reduced calories. Still expired. Youngest COVID death in the hospital. Government orders at the time was that all deceased COVID patients have to be cremated. Fast forward 2 weeks later. Big Chungus still at morgue. Tell director. Director asks around why. No crematorium can accommodate the corpse's size. She asks why crematorium people don't just cut it up and do them in batches. Apparently cutting corpse up breaks corpse desecration laws. She paid them off to do it anyway, to just get rid of the COVID hazard. Family never knew that the guy was chopped up. Very minor happening, but I'll keep it short and sweet. Finish closing down restaurant at end of a shift with friend/roommate. He drives back to house, and I ride my bicycle. City's laid out so that it's often faster to bike than to drive, even with no traffic in the middle of the night like it was then. I get home first, and leave my bike propped up after entering, and using my phone's flashlight, I do a quick sweep of each room of the house to check for spooky burglars or intruders. I don't turn on any lights, and it is fully dark apart from my phone and my bike light, which is still on. Make a loop of house, which means first living room, second living room, bedrooms, kitchen, back room, then back through kitchen to get back to the first living room, in that order. While I'm coming back through the kitchen, about 5 steps away from being back in the doorway of the first living room, I hear the distinct flicking sound of our lamp switch. I jump a little bit because spooked, then make it to the doorway to look into the first living room to see our lamp now on. I jump a little bit because spooked, and then make it to the doorway to look into the first living room to see our lamp is now on. Don't know how long I stood staring at the lamp, but probably less than 30 seconds later, my roommate pulls into the driveway, and less than a minute from then, he enters the front door. I'm still standing there, staring, and spooked, and I explain it to him. We conclude that it was weird. It is a famously quote-unquote haunted city, and that is the closest I came to experiencing it as far as I can tell. Thanks for reading my uneventful but honest as possible tale. My sister recently told me a creepy story that happened to her the first time she did Molly. Be my sister, 20, and she does some E with her female friend one Saturday night. They're in a good mood, but get hungry and decide to go to Jack in the Box. It's 1 a.m., so only the drive-thru is open. They order and go to the window. My sister looks inside the window and sees that the cashier has hooves for feet. She freaks out and grabs her friend, telling her to look at this guy's feet and that they look like pig feet. They look down and see his feet when suddenly he notices. He starts walking to the window and his eyes are bright red. They scream and take off. They head for the freeway and there are no other cars on the road. As they're driving, all the streetlights behind them are turning off. They get to the freeway and she drives straight to my Nana's house. They get there and tell her everything while bawling their eyes out. My Nana yells at her for a long time, is very mad at her for doing something so stupid. My sister said she will never do Molly or ecstasy ever again. I think there was meth and other drugs in those pills they took. Something that isn't particularly scary or exciting, but it's stuck in my head for a while. B14, 8th grade. Broke my arm a few weeks ago. Scraped up the other. One in cast, other in bandages. Unable to sleep well or do anything fun besides browse the internet. Hallucinate and see things a lot. Nothing disturbing really, just movements and things peeking around corners and doors. Small white fellows and traditional shadow men. White creatures look like little golems running into crevices and rooms. Shadow men just look at me by leaning into doorways or around corners. They carry a curious child vibe with them. Both are chill. After a bit, sort of just vibe with them. Never felt uneasy around them. Chilling on the computer one fall evening. Wallowing in my misery, home alone. Feel like I'm being watched again. Probably one of the shadow dudes hanging out again. Look into open door, which leads into long hallway. See a shadow person, but head on. Still think this thing wanted to be seen. Takes up entire door frame. Staring at me with a noticeably red face / eyes. Feels like time freezes. As we make eye contact, it feels undeniably hostile, angry. Adrenaline dumps into my system. Blink after a second. It's gone. Feel lightheaded. Nose immediately begins to gush blood. Haven't hallucinated or seen things since. Don't know what the deal was with my whole experience there, with Mr. Redface and the others, but it's more just interesting to me since that's the biggest paranormal thing I've experienced in my life so far. Hi X. I've been lurking and commenting and bumping for a long time, but I've never shared anything. I grew up in a haunted house. We moved there just after I was born. Weird shit happening was just the norm, which is probably why I lurk here. So, be me, 5 to 7 years old. Have my own room. My room was the middle room in the hallway. My parents' room was at the end. My brother's room next to mine on the other end. I slept with my door open. My parents' door was halfway open. Brother, being older, closed his, jerking off and all that. At night, you would hear footsteps on the carpeted hallway. Faint, but with there being no other sound in the house, it was clear. Footsteps would begin in front of parents' room, walk past my room, and stop at my brother's door. Then, there would be silence. Cold, dead, absolute silence. For a few minutes, actually, before starting all over again. It never walked back, just started at one side, stopped on the other, silence. Started back on the other side. Everyone in the house heard this. It was so normal that we would comment on it the next morning. He was walking again last night. He didn't just walk the hallway. He came into rooms, which, as a child, is the most terrifying fucking thing ever. Footsteps would enter a room. The room would feel electric. Hair would stand up. Temperature would drop sharply, and you would be paralyzed. It would stand there, and you would hear it standing. I don't know how to describe it. It didn't breathe or talk or anything, but you could hear it. My bed was against the wall, and I slept with my back to the door. My logic was, I don't want to see it. I know it's there. I feel it, I hear it, but I don't want to see it. Eventually, this wore me down mentally. I didn't want to hear it anymore, so I started pressing on my ears. I would place one hand under my pillow and the other over the blanket I had over my face. I pressed so hard that my teeth became malformed in my jaw on the right side. Still is to today. I feared nighttime. I would cry when I had to go to bed. I made up excuses, went to the toilet a million times. Anything but be in a dark room, being forced to sleep. I wasn't the only one who was visited, however. It sat on my brother's bed too many times to recall. It dented in the mattress, sat for a few minutes, got up, and left. It lifted my brother's bed up while he was on it. It held my mother down in her bed one night. Apart from walking around and fucking with us, it just made noise. So much noise. Cupboards open and closing in the kitchen. Plates and cups moving on the kitchen counters. Doors opening, doorknobs moving. The usual. Be me. 12 to 14 years old. Got used to it. Used to make fun of it by now. Friend comes over for a sleepover. His dad came and dropped him off. His dad and my dad are standing outside talking. Mother is washing dishes and talking to me and friend in the kitchen. Mother laughs and says, "House is haunted." Friend laughs, thinks it's a joke. Mother laughs and says, "Nope." Suddenly, the dishwashing liquid bottle flies off the kitchen counter. No one is near it. Friend turns white, nopes the fuck out of the house without saying a word. Tries to tell his dad, but he isn't making sense. Ended up just crashing at his place because he refused to come into the house again. Older sister came to visit, slept in my room, woke up and saw the shadow of a man sitting next to me on the bed, looking at her all night. Older brother came to visit. Mom told him, house is haunted. He said he didn't believe in stupid shit. He went to take a bath, and the tap opened itself. Needless to say, he slept with the light on throughout his entire visit. Everyone who visited us could write their own greet text of the house. The hauntings came in waves. It would be quiet for months, and then all hell would break loose. I started having vivid dreams about it. In my dreams, it looked like my father, but with dead, cold eyes. My dad was still alive, so it wasn't him. In my dreams, I would look down the dark hallway from the living room and see my dad's face come out of the darkness, or appear around corners with his expressionless face. What I didn't know at the time was that my father was cheating on my mother. He was verbally abusive, but never in front of us. He treated my mother like shit, and they didn't love each other. Perhaps I just picked up on the vibes and was just projecting it into my dreams. Seeing my dad's doppelganger watch me from the darkness still makes me feel extremely uncomfortable. B17. In a cabin. Enjoying the peace and quiet. Hunting and shit. Shoot Bambi's mom. It's getting dark, so I drag the corpse into my shed for next morning. Go to sleep. Woken up by the loudest fucking crash. A bear or something probably smelled the blood. Grab my shotgun. Load it with slugs. Go downstairs. See the shed doors completely obliterated. I'm young and stupid, and I'm thinking I would quite like a bear rug. Grab flashlight and go outside. Hear something feasting upon that poor deer. Bones cracking, meat ripping, etc. Shine the light in the shed. Blood and pieces of the deer are all over the floor and wall, and in the center of it is the creature. That's not a bear. It turns around and notices me. It's hunched down on 4 legs, but it definitely has hands. It's covered in gray/white fur. It's got a wolf's head with yellow fangs and eyes. It's got bloodstains all over it. It tenses up and growls at me. I shoot from the hip. The slugs hit its shoulder. It howls in pain. I fucking leg it back inside while it's stunned. I want to get the shit out of there, so I call my dad and tell him everything. He's coming to get me out. The thing eventually comes out bleeding and limping. Then it just stops and looks at me straight in the eyes, growling. Sees some headlights. It sees them too, howls, and runs off into the woods. I grab my shit, and we drive the fuck out of there. Story from my teen years. Not much happens, but it was spooky at the time. Uncle lives in Tennessee, out in the sticks alone. His house is big though, and nice. Family decides to meet there for a family reunion. First day there, Uncle warns us not to go near a specific area. Makes a big show of it. Says it's cursed. He calls it the old tree, and it's a place where nothing grows, he says. It's just a big piece of barren land with a dead tree in the middle. One night, I catch him going out there by himself. Should be asleep, but woke up for some reason. The room I was staying in was right next to the front door, and had a big window that looked out onto the front porch. I watched Uncle leave the house and walk way out. Thought, pretty sure he's headed to the old tree. Then went back to bed. The next night, the same shit happened. Uncle left the house after everyone was asleep and went out to the old tree. Noticed this time that He had a little bottle with him. Asked him about it the next day. He told me he feeds the tree. I think of the bottle and ask if Uncle waters it, and he says, "No, I feed it." And that was that. He wouldn't say anymore. I tell a female cousin of mine, and she says, "Let's go out there." So one night, she comes into my room after everyone is asleep. We wait for Uncle. He leaves as usual, holding a dark bottle that looked like Jack Daniels. Cousin wants us to follow him, so off we go. It's windy as a motherfucker outside, and we're both cold as fuck, so we move fast. We catch up to Uncle before he gets to the old tree. Wind is so fucking fierce that he doesn't even hear us. We can see that there's a whole area around the tree that is barren, just like said. Uncle surprises us by suddenly sprinting through the barren patch, pours something out of the bottle onto the base of the tree, dashes back. Cousin and I are so surprised, and Uncle is so fast, that we don't even have time to hide. Uncle comes right to us. "Get the fuck back in the house," he says. We all run back. Uncle tells us to keep quiet about what we saw. Makes me and Cousin swear. Cousin presses him and says she wants to know what he's doing, or she'll tell everyone, which took some balls in my opinion. Uncle says he'll tell us tomorrow, so we all go to bed. Next day, he tells us that when we moved into the house, some dude told him that the tree's been there forever, and that it eats sugar. Guy told Uncle to feed the tree sugar regularly, or he would start to get sick. Uncle thinks the dude's crazy and ignores him, but soon, he does get ill. After seeing a specialist and decided he can't afford that shit again, he decides to try the sugar trick. Weirdly enough, it works. Uncle makes a full recovery, so now he feeds the tree sugar regularly. And I give it extra anytime I have guests, just in case. Wow, Uncle's a retarded boomer, Lamau. Cousin and I have a good laugh about it. It becomes a private joke between us for the rest of the trip. So funny that we begin meeting up after everyone's gone to bed so we can laugh about it. Man, fuck you. Uncle seemed wholesome. It was a great summer overall. Damnedest thing though. Uncle got COVID when the pandemic first started. He was out of town when he caught it and had to quarantine. He was all feverish, telling doctors that he needed to feed sugar to the tree back home. Lol. He died, of course. Be me, about 10 to 12, going to sleep like any other night. Sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, can't move, can't speak. Didn't know what sleep paralysis was at the time. Classic feeling of abject terror. I know there's something in my room with me. Black spindly hand waving over my face. Imagine if you were in a hospital bed and people were moving about you, freaking the fuck out. Try to scream. Obviously, doesn't work. Can't roll my eyes back far enough to get a good look at whatever is above/behind my head. Look over to my bathroom area. My room connected directly to my bathroom/closet area. No door separating them. See what is best equated as pick related. Lumbering into my fucking closet. Really freaking out now. The being behind me is now striding toward my door to leave my room. I can see it now. Looks like a gray, but 7 feet tall and pitch black. I think it will kill my parents in the neighboring room. All at once, my motor function and voice come back. 0 to 100, screaming absolute bloody goddamn murder. Later learned my neighbors actually heard me. Thought there was a home invasion or that my dad murdered my mom or some shit. I'm flailing like an epileptic. Fall off bed on the floor in a heap. Piss everywhere. Parents immediately come in asking what the fuck happened. Do my best to describe my terror. They say it was just a dream. Doubt that SVG. Once I calm down and clean myself up, I notice my closet door is indeed open. I always sleep with it closed because as a kid, I didn't want to look at a dark, open closet while falling asleep. Crucifix in my room is now on the ground. Later learned what sleep paralysis was on my own. Hasn't happened since. I'm still unsure about what to make of sleep paralysis. I get that there's a well-documented, logical pathology behind it, but god damn, that was the scariest shit I've ever seen. How can I make sure it never happens again? Not a story where anything really happens, but I've found an area that really feels, well, not evil, but bad. And every time I visit, something slightly weird happens. Be me, visiting girlfriend's family, only for the 4th time in 7 years. General area near the border of Germany and both Belgium and the Netherlands. Also, interestingly enough, The very same area of the Boar Rider green text that always gets reposted in these threads. I take daily walks because I'm neither a family person nor a very social person, so I need my me time. First time I visit there, I find a cut down tree in the middle of the forest, not even remotely close to any road or fields. It's painted red, with immense red nails stuck in the top, holding a detailed human heart made from metal pieces. Second time visiting there, I awake in the middle of the night. People in robes are standing outside of the house the street over, some with instruments, some with torches, singing in front of the open door. Third visit, I take a break on one of my walks, sit down on the stairs to a windmill, listen to music, and read a bit. 3 other wanderers walk by, just stop in front of me and stare at me for literally 5 minutes without a word or even answering my good day, and then keep going. Happens 2 more times in the next hour before I get seriously freaked out and go home. Fourth visit, same specific area where I found the quote-unquote heart and was observed by the weird wanderers. This time, I find weird pieces of haphazardly built fences between trees in the forest, not even knee-high and completely useless. Dozens of them. Last one I found was round instead of being set up between 2 trees, and had this weird golem-looking mud puppet lying right in the middle. Be me, just now, trying to sleep, listening to the heavy rain outside and some green text readings to soothe me to sleep. Ceiling fan is off, AC/heater is off. This is important. Mind wandering, imagining mech battles and various fantasy scenarios, like succubus encounters, as I listen to the TTS ramble on. Comfortable, not listening too closely but still wide awake because I'm on edge for some reason, so sleep is eluding me. Laying sideways, so one of my ears is smothered in my pillow, and I swear to God, something breathed into that ear. I heard and felt it, a husky feminine sigh, right in my ear. Super clear, even feel the warmth of it. Bolt upright, think the green text video just had sound effects to set the mood. Rewind the video a few times. There's just a TTS. No breathing, or sighing, or fucking anything. Oh, fuck no. I can still feel the warmth of that breath on my ear, the moisture of it. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm so fuckong scared, lads.